So we're going to look at 47. 47 said 1 minus cosine squared x times 1 plus cotangent squared x equals 1. So I'm going to FOIL it out. So that's 1. Outer is plus cotangent squared x. Inner is minus cosine squared x. And last is minus cosine squared x cotangent squared x. And here I'd want to change things from sine into sine and cosine. So 1 plus cosine squared x over sine squared x minus cosine squared x minus cosine squared x times cosine squared x over sine squared x. So this is going to give me 1 plus cosine squared x over sine squared x minus cosine squared x minus cosine to the 4th x over sine squared x. Because these two multiplied together give me cosine to the 4th. And then if I want to put everything over sine squared x, I'd have to multiply this by sine squared x over sine squared x, because I want a common denominator. And this has to be multiplied by the same thing. So I get sine squared x plus cosine squared x minus sine squared x cosine squared x minus cosine to the 4th x divided by sine squared x and I can do this little trick. It actually helps. I'm going to put everything with sine together and everything with cosine together. So sine squared x minus sine squared x cosine squared x plus cosine squared x minus cosine to the 4th x divided by sine squared x. And I'm going to cut this down the middle and factor. Here I can take out a sine squared x. So this is factoring by grouping. And here I can take out a cosine squared x. So sine squared x times 1 minus cosine squared x plus, take out a cosine squared x here, and I get 1 minus cosine squared x. So I took out a sine from here, and that gave me 1, or sine squared from here, and that gave me 1. I took out a sine squared from here, and that gave me cosine squared x. Took out a cosine squared here, and that gave me 1, and a cosine squared here, and that gave me cosine squared x. And then these are the same, so this is how we factor by grouping. So we get sine squared x plus cosine squared x times 1 minus cosine squared x divided by sine squared x. Now all the way back up here, it says 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared. So 1 minus cosine squared, I'm going to give that to be a sine squared. And then sine squared plus cosine squared is 1 divided by sine squared x. And these two are going to cancel and give us 1. So that one was a pretty difficult one.